Students, welcome. We start with a new topic, that is simple machines today. Now in simple machines, you have the part, first you have to understand what is a machine and some technical terms related to a simple machine. To understand a machine, we will consider a very simple machine like a seesaw. Yes, the very seesaw with which you play in your playground, that is also a simple machine. Even your scissor is a simple machine. And one of the simplest machines is the seesaw. It has a fulcrum at the center. On one side you have the effort, maybe a mother standing there and pushing down. And on the other side you have the load, maybe a child sitting there and the child going up. So that is basically a seesaw. So the force acting on the input side is given a specific name. So I'll call this side where the mother is standing as the input side and the other side where the child is as the output side. So we have on the input side there is a force acting. That force is called the effort. So on the input, what is the force acting? It is given a specific name. It is called effort, denoted by capital E. So what is effort? It is a force. So what is its unit? Its SI unit is Newton and its CGS unit is dyne. So it's having same unit as force because it is a force. It is a force which acts on the input side. Now on the output side you have a load. The force is the load. A weight is there. A child is sitting there. And the mother is lifting up the child that side. So that is the load. So the load is the force acting on the output side. So that also is measured in Newton and dyne. SI system Newton, CGS system dyne, denoted by small l. So now let's say this side of the seesaw has gone down by a distance dE. dE stands for displacement of effort. Displacement of effort is dE. So on the other side, the load will move up by a distance dL. dL is displacement of load. So we have dE, displacement of effort, and dL, displacement of load. This is the simplest of simple machines, a seesaw. So in this case, if the distance moved by this is 20 centimeter, that will go up by 20 centimeter. Displacement of effort and displacement of load will be same, but that is not the case in all machines. It is the case in a seesaw. So work. Now work formula is force into displacement. So work formula is force into displacement. So now you are telling work input. If you are calling it work input, then in that case, that work input will be the force on the input side, that is effort, into displacement of effort. Now the force on the input side is also called the work done on the machine. So you can say work done on the machine. That is equal to the work input. So listen to the term work done on the machine. That is work input, effort into displacement of effort. Power input is work input upon time. That is Wi upon T. So power is work upon time. So in the input side, it is work input upon time. What is work input? You have just written here that work input is effort into displacement of effort. So effort into displacement of effort upon time is the power input. So that is regarding input side. Now in the output side also, when the load, see the load is a force, the child's weight is acting down. So that is the load. So that is why I have shown the direction here in the downward direction. The load is acting downward, okay. The load is moving up. But even when you are going up, in what direction is your weight acting? It is acting down. So this is not wrong. This is correct. The load acts in the downward direction effort, okay, effort is going down, but effort is also in the downward direction. Maybe the mother is sitting here, so there her weight is also acting down. So both the load and the effort are in the downward direction, but work output is the output side force, that is load, into the displacement of the load. Basically work is force into displacement. So output work is load into displacement of load. Power output, just like you wrote here, work done on the machine. On this side you will write work done by the machine. Work done by the machine. That is work output. Work done by the machine is work output, and power output is work output upon time. Power output is work output upon time. So work output is load into displacement of load upon time. Why? Because work output you wrote L into dl upon T. So you have to get used to these terms. Now what is work measured in? It will be measured in joule. What is power measured in? It will be measured in joule per second, that is watt, W8TT. So all those units you have to know. Of course, force can be measured in Newton dyne, or sometimes you can say the force is so many kgf. So that also we had learned in 9th standard. Like if your mass is 9 kg, then your weight is 9 kgf. And in that case, in Newton, it would be 9 into 9.8, or approximately 9 into 10, that is 90 Newton. So you can state it in kgf and Newton both, or in dyne. So now, efficiency. Any machine has something known as an efficiency. It is the ratio of the work output to the work input. Or you can even say it is the ratio of power output upon power input. So that is efficiency. An efficiency of a machine can be maximum 100%. But usually no machine will have efficiency of 100%. The reason why no machine will have an efficiency of 100% is there is going to be friction. There are parts of the machine which is moving, so obviously at that time there will be friction. So main reason for loss of efficiency is friction and energy lost in the form of heat due to friction between the moving parts of the machine. So the greater the efficiency, then you can say work output will be almost equal to work input. If the machine's efficiency is low, then in that case you will say the output is low as compared to the input. So a simple definition of a simple machine, what do you use a simple machine for? That combination of the uses has been put as the definition of a machine. A machine can be used for multiple purposes. For example, by applying a small effort, you can lift a large load. Such machines are called force multipliers. Force multipliers means small effort lifting a much larger load. Now an example of a force multiplier is the screw jack with which you lift the car. If there is a puncture, you put a screw jack down, and then there is a long rod. Because the rod is very long, by putting a small effort, you can see that the 1000 kg car goes up. You are hardly applying any effort. That is because of the long rod. But with that small effort, you are able to lift a much bigger load. So that's the use of a screw jack. Such machines where a small effort overcomes a much greater load are called force multipliers. Then you have speed multipliers. A simplest of simple example of a speed multiplier is a scissor. What do you do with a scissor? You move your fingers slightly. So your finger is moving hardly a couple of centimeters. And in that time you would have cut through 1 meter of cloth or paper. So that cloth or paper is the load and your finger is the effort. So by moving the effort a small distance, you can cut through a much larger distance of the load. Such machines are called speed multipliers. You are not using it to gain force. The reason is that you don't require a lot of force to cut a cloth or to cut paper. So those machines in which a small distance of the effort cuts through a large distance of the load are known as speed multipliers. Of course, we will see more examples of force multipliers, speed multipliers, etc. when we learn the first type of machine that we have in our syllabus, that is levers, and the second type of machine which we have in our syllabus, that is pulley. So levers and pulley are there in our syllabus. So there are different types of levers. Many of the equipments that we use come under levers. So those levers, when we learn, we will see which are force multipliers, which are speed multipliers. And the third use can be to apply the effort in a very convenient direction. For example, you use a single fixed pulley in a well. So in your native place, when you go to your native place, you would have seen the well. Nowadays, of course, the pulley is being replaced by the electric pump, where people use the pump to pump up water to the tank on top of their house. But previously and even now, to a great extent in many villages, you will find the single fixed pulley. So what is the use of the pulley? You could have just thrown a bucket with a rope tied on it and pulled it up. But pulling it up against gravity is cumbersome. So that is little difficult as far as direction is concerned, and it is cumbersome. So it is much more convenient to pull the rope down. See, that 20 kilo bucket remains the same. So you are not lifting any extra load. Only thing is, you can apply the effort in a convenient downward direction, and you can even use your body weight itself and pull it. For example, if very heavy objects are there, a couple of people tie themselves to the rope and then they move ahead. So that is how it can be used. The single fixed pulley can be used. Basically, it is only changing the direction in which the effort is applied to a convenient direction. There is no gain in any force, neither is there any gain in speed. So basic three uses of machine is force multiplier, means small effort overcoming a much greater load, like a screw jack, which is used to lift the car when you change the tire for replacing the tire in case of a puncture. Speed multiplier, example is a scissor, where a small distance moved by the effort will cut through a much larger distance of the load. And the third thing is to apply the effort in a convenient direction. Example, a single fixed pulley, where the effort is applied in a convenient direction along with the force of gravity, rather than pulling up the bucket like this against the force of gravity. So based on all the three, we can define a machine as a device by which we can either overcome a large resistive force or load at some point by applying a small force or effort at a convenient point and in a desired direction, or by which we can obtain gain in speed. So the definition basically talks about force multipliers and speed multipliers. Could be asked, sometimes they ask just for 2 marks, what is a machine, or give 2 uses of a machine, force multiplier, speed multiplier, or to change the direction. Write all this in your notebooks. All these terms associated with machine is important. So now we will see some definition of some of these terms, whose formulae and what it is we have already seen in this example of a simple seesaw. Now we will see those terms which we just saw in the previous frame in more detail. For example, load, capital L. The resistive or opposing force to be overcome by a machine is called load. Effort. The force applied on the machine to overcome the load is called effort. Can these be us? Sometimes yes, for 1 mark. Some of these are sometimes us, very rarely, and sometimes they are us. So the force applied on the machine to overcome the load is called the effort. Note that since load and effort are both force, hence they are measured in kgf or Newton. Now mechanical advantage MA. The ratio of the load to the effort is called mechanical advantage. So MA formula is load upon effort. Now what is load measured in? If load is in Newton, then effort is also in Newton. So therefore it will have no unit. So there will be no unit because it's a pure ratio. MA will have no unit. Now the MA has a lot of significance when you come to know what type of machine is that. For example, if MA of the machine is greater than 1, it means that the numerator is greater than the denominator, or load is greater than the effort, which means that a small effort can overcome a large load. That is MA greater than 1. Such machines where MA is greater than 1 are called force multipliers. Force multipliers mean you can use a small force to overcome a big load. So small effort can overcome a big load. So such machines are called force multipliers. So always remember, if you see MA greater than 1, they are force multipliers. Now if the numerator is small and the denominator is big, that means the load is smaller than the effort. Then you have such machines where MA less than 1, they are known as speed multipliers. Example, your scissor. In a scissor, the effort, what does it do? The small distance mode goes through a large distance of the load, but it doesn't mean that the load is very heavy. The load is not heavy, it's a light piece of paper or a cloth. So such machines where MA is less than 1 are speed multipliers, and if MA is less than 1, that means the numerator is smaller than the denominator, so the load is small and the effort is more. The force exerted by a finger is more than the weight of the load, which is true. A paper is so light, but we are applying some effort using our fingers on the scissor. So then what is the use? I told you the use. You cut, when you cut, you are moving your finger by maybe 1 centimeter, and the cloth gets cut by the tailor by almost a meter. When he does 3-4 times this, means 4 centimeters would have cut 1 meter of cloth. So such machines are called speed multipliers. Then you have a possibility that load and effort are equal. Like in a seesaw, you could have equal load and effort being applied if 2 equal weights are sitting on either side. So in that case, MA will be 1. So then what is the use of such a machine? It is only used to apply the effort in a convenient direction. To change the direction, like in a single fixed pulley I told you, rather than lifting water from the well by dropping a bucket and then tying it to a rope and pulling it, it is better to use a pulley and pull down the water, pull down the rope, and the bucket comes out. With the force of gravity, you can use it is applied in a better manner. So then there is no name given if MA is equal to 1. Use is there, it is used to apply the effort in a convenient direction. So remember, MA greater than 1, force multiplier. MA equal to 1, no name, it is used to apply effort in convenient direction. And MA less than 1, then they are speed multipliers like a scissor. And what is MA? Is the ratio of load upon effort. And since it's a pure ratio, it does not have any units. So copy this. Now velocity ratio. The definition. The ratio of the velocity of the effort to the velocity of the load is called velocity ratio. So velocity of effort upon velocity of load. Now what is velocity? It is displacement upon time. So it is a factor that takes time into consideration. So here for effort you write displacement of effort upon time, and for load we write displacement of load upon time. So now time and time will get cut. So velocity ratio is displacement of effort upon displacement of load. Because time, let's assume a seesaw. Only for that time when the mother pushes one side down, the child will go up. So the time remains the same on the input and output side of the machine. So time gets cancelled out. So it becomes dE by dl. So the same velocity ratio, this is what we generally commonly use in sums of simple machines. In the same velocity ratio, we use the formula displacement of effort upon displacement of load. So that is why velocity ratio can also be defined as the ratio of displacement of effort to the displacement of the load. Again, it's a pure ratio. Meter per second upon meter per second, or meter upon meter. So because it's a pure ratio, it will not have any units. So now next, one more thing you have to note and be very sure about is that the velocity ratio of a machine does not change. It never changes. As for example, let's say you take a single fixed pulley. That pulley system which is mostly seen in most of the wells in our villages. So you may see that sometimes that pulley, that thing is made of iron. So it gets rusted and there's a lot of friction. So if there is a lot of friction, the efficiency will decrease. The mechanical advantage will decrease. But the velocity ratio, that is displacement of effort to displacement of load, will remain the same. To understand this better, just understand the working of the pulley. The single fixed pulley which you may have used in your native place also. Let's say you have a well and water is 20 meter deep. So if the bucket is what? The load. The bucket has to come up by 20 meter. How much you have to pull the rope by? 20 meter, very simple. Because that rope is attached to the bucket. So only if you pull the rope down 20 meters, will the bucket come up by 20 meters. So in this case, for a single fixed pulley, displacement of effort, how much you are pulling it down? Your pulling is the effort. Displacement of effort is 20 meter, and the displacement of the bucket, that is the load, is also 20 meter. So dE and dl are both 20 meter, equal. So because of that, we can say velocity ratio of a single fixed pulley is always 1. Now please understand this, if the efficiency, if that machine, that pulley is fully rusted, then maybe you have to apply more force, more effort to lift that same bucket. But effort and load is not related to velocity ratio, it is related to mechanical advantage. So the mechanical advantage may decrease and the efficiency of the machine may decrease, but velocity ratio remains fixed. I hope this example of single fixed pulley you remember, so that you understand that velocity ratio of a machine doesn't change from machine to machine, it remains fixed. Now work input. Work input is denoted by Wi or W input. The work done on the machine by the effort. So work input we had seen in the first slide of this chapter, input side, you have effort. The work done on the machine by the effort is called work input, and work input formula is effort into displacement of effort. Basically, work is force into displacement. So work input is effort into displacement of effort. Now work output, WO or W output. The work done by the machine on the load, output side. The work done by the machine on the load is known as work output. And work output, work is again force into displacement. So now the force on the output side is load, and the displacement is called displacement of load. So copy this. We continue further, and now we see what is meant by efficiency. We had written the formula. Now we will see the definition and efficiency and what are the factors affecting efficiency. Now in this case, we are continuing and saying what is meant by efficiency. The symbol of efficiency looks like an N, only the N one side the tail is little long. So that is pronounced as eta. The symbol is eta, that is an alphabet of the Greek letters. So efficiency of a machine is defined as the ratio of the work done on the load by the machine, that is work output, to the work done on the machine by the effort. So basically it is work output upon work input. We had already seen this, but when you are asked the definition of efficiency, don't just write it's the ratio of work output upon work input. You explain what is work output. So you write efficiency is defined as the ratio of the work done on the load by the machine, that is work output, to the work done on the machine by the effort, that is work input. So you have to explain that sentence, what is work output and work input, and write that it is the ratio of those two. So work output upon work input. Generally efficiency is measured as a percentage. So efficiency of a machine is defined as a percentage. So efficiency is work output upon work input into 100, then you can say it is that many percent. Efficiency will not have any unit because you can say it's a pure ratio. There is no unit for efficiency, there is no centimeter or meter, something like that. It's a pure ratio. But when you express it as efficiency percentage, this answer is multiplied by 100. Normally efficiency of any machine will be less than 1. 1 means if this value is 1, then it is 100%. Efficiency of no machine can be greater than 1 because efficiency you can't have the output is greater than the input because there will be some friction and some loss of energy. Now an important relation, this derivation can be asked for 2 marks. It has been asked a couple of times in the boards. It's a very small derivation. It's basically asking you the relation between efficiency, mechanical advantage and velocity ratio. Now efficiency is work output upon work input. You know that by definition of efficiency. So now therefore work output is load into displacement of load and work input is effort into displacement of effort. So now here load upon effort we have written separately, and instead of writing dL by dE we have written it as into 1 upon dE by dL. If you write it like this, obviously this goes on the numerator, so this and this is one and the same. But load upon effort is MA and dE by dL is VR. So we have written what is L upon E, that is MA, and dE by dL is VR. So we can write this formula, efficiency is MA into 1 upon VR, or efficiency is MA upon VR. This is another formula which we generally use in sums to find the efficiency of a machine. So here in this formula, this is the relation between efficiency, MA and VR. In this formula you have to understand one thing, that is just the efficiency decreases, then the MA will decrease. So if the efficiency is increasing, then the MA will increase. VR remains constant or fixed. We have already written that VR depends on the design, so that remains constant. VR was basically what? dE by dL. So I had given you an example of a single fixed pulley, where if you have to lift a bucket by 20 meter, you have to pull the load by 20 meter. So you have to pull the rope by 20 meters. So what you are pulling is displacement of effort. What the bucket is moving is displacement of load. That doesn't change even if friction, anything increases, decreases, whatever. So efficiency affects the MA, not the VR. VR remains fixed. Please copy this down. We will continue with factors affecting efficiency or reducing efficiency in machines. So now in this we are seeing what are the factors which affect efficiency of a machine. Important question. First, most important factor is friction. Most of the efficiency loss is due to friction. So even when the rope is moving on the pulley, there is friction between rope and pulley, due to which there will be wear and tear of the rope. You can't have a pulley in which there is absolutely no friction. Can be minimized. You can lubricate the machine. You can have good quality material used, so you can minimize friction, but you can't eliminate it. Weight of the moving parts of the machine. Now finally, why did you lift the bucket from the well? To get water. Can you lift water alone? Because we needed only water. We didn't need the bucket. Can you lift the water alone without the bucket? No. So weight of the water alone may have been 10 kgf, whereas the bucket may have weighed another 2 kgf. So even that will decrease the efficiency because the overall load is 12, out of which the useful load is only 10. So that will also decrease the efficiency. So friction and weight of the moving parts of the machine. Now principle of machine, it says that in an ideal machine, the work done on the load by the machine, that is the work output, is equal to the work done on the machine by the effort. So we basically say work output is equal to work input. Now work is equal to energy, that we have already seen earlier, that work and energy is same. How much work you can do, how much energy you have. So if you have done 10 joule of work, that means you have lost 10 joule of energy. So therefore we say instead of work output, we say output energy is equal to input energy. So what is principle of machine in an ideal machine, a new term? The work done on the load by the machine, that is work output, is equal to the work done on the machine by the effort, that is work input. So this is, if they ask you principle of machine, state the principle of machine. Now what's the ideal machine and what's the actual or practical machine? In an ideal machine, we are taking work output is equal to work input. So we say efficiency is 1 or 100%. So this is not practically possible for any machine. Whereas in an actual or practical machine, we say that efficiency is less than 1 or efficiency is less than 100%. This is because work output and work input is same. In all practical machines or actual machines, work output has to be less than work input. So in an ideal machine, we are assuming there is no energy lost in friction or in moving any parts of the machine. Whereas in actual and practical machine, obviously some amount of energy is lost in the form of friction and in moving parts of the machine. Now we had seen the formula efficiency is MA upon VR. So MA is equal to VR because it is efficiency 1. Whereas in an actual machine, MA is less than VR. VR will be greater. So write this down, that's the distinction. Next time we start with levers.